I think Saturday night's main event, you gotta say...
A little... can I say it
Say
already?
it. Say which one?
Stale.
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 I was gonna say kind of mid.
Stale.
Mid.
I see what they're trying to do, but still, I was already gonna like. Okay, we'll go into it later. But
No. Say what you want to say.
When I compare it to like an anime type of thing, I feel like when you're watching the anime, there's like certain episodes of the anime where like, oh, the manga still hasn't came out for like the newer episodes and shit like that. So the anime show releases episodes that's like called filler and shit like that, where it's like shit that's still like kind of interesting and shit, but it's not fully tied into the story and supposedly not fully like canon to the story or whatever you want to call it with the anime world and shit like that. So I guess that's the way you could tie it to wrestling and shit.
So Saturday night's main event was a filler episode?
I feel like
That's tough. I mean,
an interesting filler episode though. That's why I call it like. That's why I compare it to that.
there was some ups and downs throughout the show. I think to call it a full filler episode is false because of how it ended. Mm-hmm. And especially with what happened after it went off air, which is kind of ironic, but there was definitely stories that were moved forward. But I mean, yeah, we can get into it. We can break it down a bit. So
I feel like a lot of these things could have happened on main events on Raw or SmackDown though, but I see what they're trying to do.
I mean, yeah. I guess I could see where you're coming from with some of the matches. I wanted to just kind of break down some of my overall thoughts on it, see how you feel about it. I feel like the first two matches, it started off solid, but also the pacing was like fast as shit. So we started off with, I believe, Sammy and Drew, and then the next match was Liv and Io, which were both solid matches, and I think they're all really good talents.
Especially the Liv and Io match, they were going crazy. But
it just all went by so quickly that by the time both matches were done, I wasn't able to be like fully bought into it, and it was just, I feel like it all went by so quickly.
I don't know if you saw, but it was a 2-hour show, and there's also commercial.
Oh.
Even though we probably had Peacock and able to go to like, give us a second. Oh, there's commercial break. Please wait, stand by, or whatever, some shit like that.
No, but that still eats into the time. And no, I 100%. Well, I was gonna get into that later, but I do 100% think that was one of the main things that held the show back, was the fact that we had a 5-match card and only 2 hours minus commercials to get everything done. Everything was moving so quickly. So it's
like an hour and a half show, if you want to think
about it. Exactly. So I think overall the pacing, it showed the most. It showed pretty much throughout the entire show, but it showed the most in those first 2 matches. I think like those flew by. Those fucking flew by, and I don't think got the time that they deserved. And as a result, didn't hit as hard, in my opinion. The triple threat match was pretty good. I actually think that's where the show started to pick up some real steam. I thought that Finn was doing his thing, being able to hang with 2 guys that he's obviously pretty undersized with in the ring. Gunther and Damian, as usual, doing great work. It was a really awesome match. I think it lost a bit of momentum, though, at the finish. I felt like Gunther just kind of hulking up out of nowhere and just deciding to beat the shit out of Damian and then beat the shit out of Finn and finish the match. It just, again, felt like a symptom of the show not having quite enough time. Just like a few more minutes to let Gunther's kind of build up to that moment, kind of breathe a bit more.
But I guess, like, how you said it's part of the stories or whatever, because he went out there in one of the interviews saying, like, oh, I feel good again.
No, and I think it accomplished that. No,
yeah.
I think that it did everything it needed to do. I just think it could have been better had the finish been given a bit more time to kind of breathe properly. But overall, that was still one of the better matches on the entire show, for sure.
I respect that.
I do, it was definitely a strong match. It just felt like the Gunther thing just kind of came a bit out of nowhere. I did think that Chelsea Green's win was a big highlight of the night because
historical moment.
It's exactly how it should have gone. That's what I was saying from the jump. I know I was
Chelsea Green,
very much not alone in that.
Chelsea
I think
Green,
she was one of the big favorites from a lot of the people I've seen online. It just felt like that was the person who exemplified the women's mid card at its peak right now. Like someone who maximizes their minutes, to use that phrase. Like whenever she's on camera.
I think it's a lot of camera time, even saying.
And see, I disagree. I don't think she gets a lot of camera time.
But for compared
it's
to other...
memorable camera time. I think there's plenty of other acts on the mid card that get their backstage segments that are the same thing.
Weekly,
they get 45 fairly often, and there's plenty of weeks where she wouldn't be featured either. It's just the fact that what she did hit so hard and made us laugh and was so memorable. She played that like comedic heel character so well, with the compliment of Piper Niven there to back her up, that I think just overall, like I said, she exemplified the best of what it meant to be a mid-card wrestler overall, as far as taking advantage of whatever time you're given and making the most out of it. You know, making the most out of her matches. There's been plenty of moments. People even thought that she was a favorite. I had her as one of the favorites from Money in the Bank earlier this year. Yeah. And so she's had momentum for a while now. And it felt like this was the moment to finally pay that off and give her big win. It's not like she's going to have some monster title reign like a fucking Gunther, Roman Reigns ridiculous title run. But I think we're going to get some entertaining-ass matches. We're going to get so much heel connivery, all the great gimmick bullshit that she's going to try to pull out. And, yeah, I just think that it was a very well-deserved win and definitely one of the highlights of the show overall. I was very happy for her. I thought that it was just a great overall moment. I don't know. As someone who wasn't expecting the Chelsea win from the jump, how did you feel about it? Because who was your original prediction? Wasn't it Jade?
It was Jade, yeah.
Before everything obviously happened, yeah.
Honestly, once I saw she made the final, I was like, yo, what's happening?
Well, to be fair, I would have been satisfied with either, because I also think Michin this whole year has been another example of just like...
It's not her time yet, though. She hasn't really... She's been getting a little bit of time with all the matches. She did the fucking trash match and shit like that and all that bullshit. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel that they're not really pushing her like that yet.
I just think that coming out of the whole... What was it called? The OC? Where it was AJ Styles' faction. Yeah. Coming out of that, obviously, I think there's some injury stuff going on
but it's good for her with that. They're all the cuts that I've seen with the WWE roster.
I was just going to say that I think she's one of the ones who's done probably the best coming out of that faction. Like, obviously, I know the Good Brothers are down there and NXT still doing their thing when they can, injuries aside. But Michin has done really well to continue her momentum coming out of that. Like, that would have been something that would have been really career stifling for a lot of people, but she's managed to kind of reinvent herself and go out there on her own and make her own name for herself, and I think that is very much to her credit. So
especially
I think
in this packed women's division, bro.
I guess I cut you off, but my point was just to say that I think no matter who would have won in this final, I think it would have been a very deserving winner. But continue, as you were saying, that you felt like when the final was announced that Chelsea was the obvious winner, I guess.
Wait, what?
You felt like when the final was announced, like that was who it was gonna be, that Chelsea was gonna be the winner.
Oh yeah, I already felt 100% that she was gonna win, bro. That's simple as that. I was like, bro, oh yeah, she's gonna definitely take it. I was like, oh, this was fucking right. She's taking it.
Deserved?
Deserved, 100%.
Okay.
She's hilarious, like I said.
Okay. Obviously the highlight of the night. As the earlier matches were going through, I was realizing, like, damn, they're trying to give as much time to this Cody match as possible. Like, that's the only reason you would be cutting all these other matches so short. So that was by far the best match of the night, and I think a lot of that was because it got enough time to really build throughout. I thought that the, like, references to Randy throughout from Kevin Owens were hilarious, obviously kind of furthering that feud, reminding the audience that that's still coming down the line eventually. Kevin Owens trying to hit the bionic elbow, one of the famous moves from the American Dream. I was trying to figure out where he was over there. That obviously Cody uses fairly frequently. So him trying to hit that, failing, and then Cody hitting it himself. Like, there was a lot of just like fun crowd popping moments throughout the match, and it was very obviously physical, emotional match. And then the referee shenanigans ended up being fucking awesome. Like for a gimmick that is so played out, like the whole ref bump thing, like
Yeah.
this was a way that it was executed really well.
Perfectly,
Obviously, KO getting that like win, but not a win that everyone, the whole audience counted. That means so much to his character, and that's one of the reasons why it worked so well. And then Charles Robinson, like barely being able to get up at the end and count the pin, like it worked really, really well for me. I thought that like instantly as it was happening, as Cody finally got the win, I was literally watching with my girlfriend, telling her like, bro, Kevin Owens is gonna crash the fuck out. Like he was already lost it. This is gonna send him over the fucking deep end.
Literally fucking called it.
And then what happens? I go on fucking Twitter after, and all the shit's happened. But we'll get into that in a second. But from the match itself, the other thing that I noticed that I thought was really interesting, that I think is gonna be fascinating to see where it goes, is Cody's character has gone to a level that we have not seen the American Nightmare go to on WWE programming since his return.
Mm-hmm.
Him going to that darker place and being willing to bend the rules and do things that your typical white meat babyface wouldn't do. You know, I was thinking about Prime Cena in the like Cena wins LOL era of WWE. Would Cena have ever done something like that? Absolutely not. Cena kicks that chair out of the ring, looks at the crowd, you can't see me, hits the attitude adjustment, gets the 1, 2, 3, and everyone goes home knowing our hero won the right way. Cody Rhodes said, fuck that shit, I'm putting you on this chair. Like, I thought that was fascinating to see that our good guy champ that everyone loves is like going to that darker place a bit.
Homelander Cody.
And then can I tell you what the other awesome part about it is? Because of what happens after the show, he's not even here to explain his actions. He can't even come out on the next episode of Raw or SmackDown or at this press conference kickoff show that they did recently for Netflix. Like, he can't even come out and explain himself. He just has to sit at home with his neck brace on and fucking chill with the dog and think about what he's done. And KO gets to go around to all the shows, interrupting the kickoff show. I'm sure he's going to be appearing on SmackDown later this week.
Yep.
And he's going to get to make his case to the world about why KO is right. And it's very fascinating. I'm like, are they dipping their toes in the water to see if a Cody heel turn is going to work? Are they just trying to show that this has gotten Cody to such a level where he's willing to do things he normally would? Like, it's fucking actually got me so fascinated to see where does Cody go from here? How does the audience continue to react to KO? Because right now he's getting booed, but is he going to get people on his side? Like, this story, by far, the best shit that Cody has had since he won the title. This is awesome. Ever since the beginning with the turn at Bad Blood where it happened again off screen, it's just been fascinating. And KO has put his all into this evil Kevin Owens character that he's doing, this based Kevin Owens, however you want to put it. But, yeah, I guess fascinated with this whole thing is going. And finally, that brings us to everything that happened after the show goes off air. Kevin Owens fucking package pile driver to Cody Rhodes, fucking smacks his ass head straight onto the mat. And then he goes over and gets in a little shoving contest with the big dog, the Triple H.
He literally smacked the title out of his hand.
So it just seems like, holy shit, Kevin Owens is going off the deep end here. I am just fascinated to see where this is all going.
He thinks he's the champion, bro.
That's what we saw today, earlier today when we're recording this at the Netflix kickoff show on YouTube that they had. Yeah, that he storms in and starts proclaiming that he's the true champion, that he's going to be defending his championship on the upcoming live show tour that they have coming up. Like, this is fucking awesome. Like, I believe recently they did this in AEW with Punk, where he was claiming that he was like the actual AEW champion and like, that didn't really fully play out properly because of, I don't know if it was when Punk got injured or if this was around the time when other stuff was going on. But my point is that we have seen this attempted multiple times in the past. That's just the most recent example I can remember. But this is a time where it feels like it's actually going to be executed properly, I hope, because of the way that KO's just so scorching hot right now. And they seem to be really treating the pile driver with a lot of respect, keeping Randy off of TV, keeping Cody off of TV for the time being. I feel like they're hitting all of the right beats so far that are selling it in a way that makes KO feel believable as a fucking just insane dude who's gone completely off the deep end and will attack anyone at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And the thing is we've talked about it on this fucking channel. KO's got some points, man. Like, KO might be right in some ways.
Wow.
That's the awesome thing about Triple H's creative is that we've seen a lot more of this gray area, like Walter White type of shit, where it's like, yeah, I root for him, I'm sympathetic for him because of the things he's going through, but then he does all this fucked up shit, and it's like hard for me to justify it now, and it's like, I appreciate that WWE is stepping into this realm of like your more complex heels and baby faces, you know what I mean? And I mean, yeah, it's just been really interesting to see. Really, really interesting to see. My overall thoughts on Saturday night's main event, just to give you where I'm coming from, and I'm curious to hear yours as well. I feel like the card looked a lot better on paper
Definitely.
than what it ended up being.
Definitely.
And I think that's exactly like you said. It's the nature of you've got 5 matches in 2 hours minus commercials. That's tough to pull off when the matches are supposed to be PLE level matches, which are normally 3 hours or more with limited commercial interruptions. Those matches are given a lot more space to breathe. And so unfortunately, I do think the quality of the matches suffered. This is my main takeaway, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. Future future Saturday nights main events that they have, because I don't know if you saw, but this is going to be a thing multiple times a year.
Yep.
I believe 4 times a year. So the next one is coming up not too long from now, and I think late January in Texas. For these future shows, let's bring it down to 4 matches. You know, maybe even 3 with like promo segments and stuff in between. But I think the 5 matches is pushing it just a bit. Unless that's just what these are supposed to be. And it's like a show for a more casual audience that's not tuning in on a week-to-week basis. And they just want to try and promote as much awesome talent doing cool stuff in the ring as they can. Because we can't deny the show was full of that shit. Even the matches that we feel like, from a story perspective, the pacing was a bit quick. The in-ring action itself was like impressive. If you had never watched wrestling, or if you used to watch wrestling and were thinking about getting back into it,
Definitely.
it would be a show that would get
100%.
me back into it. So if that's what it's for, then fine. You accomplish what you're going for.
Like you said, on television and shit like that.
Because, yeah, it's on NBC. This is a different type of show. And if it's a different type of show for a different audience, job well done. But if you want to make this more canon, less fillery, as you kind of said earlier, I think slimming down the match card itself to give those other matches time to breathe.
Give good promos.
And maybe mix in a promo segment here and there from a big star. I think that would be pretty good. I'm curious. So, how do you feel about that? And what are your overall thoughts on main event?
Like I said, too rushed. Everything felt like, oh yeah, everything was interesting. Everything, all those stories they were trying to tell and shit like that. But like, it just, like you said, it felt rushed. It was like all quick. And it's done, bruh. And that's it.
So, how do you feel about my idea?
Definitely would be better. 3 matches that like lead up that are actually like story based. One of them might lead to like a title switch or some shit like that. And then like I said, maybe like 2 or 3 good fucking promos or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm. Even if it's just one, but if you make it count, like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of thought you might get a Cena appearance to kind of kick off the retirement tour.
That'd
You know
be
what
cool,
I mean?
yeah.
Like,
Show
just
up on the first main event.
you
and shit,
only
yeah.
need like 4 minutes, you know, to come out, do the entrance, cut a quick thing, maybe 6 minutes.
Too busy, bro.
Give them enough time to
He's
get
too
the crowd
busy, bruh.
super popped, and yeah, I guess, but fuck, he's fine for real, dude. Like it just felt like a good opportunity again, like you said,
Beach.
on a different channel, on a different platform than they're normally on, to try and capture a more casual audience, show off some of your bigger stars that people might recognize to try and get them more invested in what's going on. And it look, if you're trying to get your newer stars over, fair enough. Like I'm happy that like the fact that people might have just been channel surfing on that Saturday night and ended up seeing like
Fucking main event.
yeah, like that's awesome to think that they would have seen like potentially Chelsea Green winning the fucking United States Championship or like Io Sky pulling out some dope shit. Like there's a lot of cool shit that happened on the show that it would have been cool for just fans to see or people who are potential fans to see.
They're gonna come and shit again.
But I guess maybe that's just us as like the diehards, as the fucking marks. Maybe we misinterpreted what this show was gonna be. But
no, I definitely saw what it was supposed to be when it was like, oh, they were talking about how the casual would turn on the TV or whatever and fucking.
But I still thought with the card itself that we would have a bit more oomph behind it.
I did feel like the whole throwback vibe though. That shit felt dope.
No, I'll do that. Actually, yes, we'll finish on that. The presentation was top tier.
I was able to watch it live, so I was like, bro, this shit's actually chill as fuck, bro.
The presentation was awesome. The way when they were entering that the shit was so tight with the fans, and so if
like
they had that old school energy, yeah. The ropes with the red, white, and blue colors and everything, the old school logos, having Jesse Ventura out there. So how did you feel about that?
Interesting.
Jesse the Body.
This was an interesting guy.
Nah, it's a safe space.
Nah, bro.
Say what you want to say.
I fuck with Jesse Ventura. I used to watch his fucking show on Spike TV, I think it was. Fucking where he was like the conspiracy theorist guy or whatever.
Okay.
Shit like that.
Okay.
So yeah, he's a good guy, bro.
Okay.
he's a chill guy, bro.
How did you feel about his commentary?
That was going at Cuddy, bro.
He was going at him pretty hard.
Bruh.
He was going at him pretty hard.
How do you feel about that? I was a straight Cody fan. I'm a little bit of a Cody fan about the bro down. He's going a little too hard on this. We chill, bruh.
So, I mean, I understood what he was trying to say. And, like, he was making fair points. Like I said, like, Cody's character took a direction that is different. So, he's got some shit that, hey, he needs to be called out for.
He wants him to be Hulk Hogan.
He was playing the heel pretty hard, though. He was playing the heel pretty hard.
That shit was funny as fuck.
No, I did think it was funny.
You got Pat McAfee, too, bruh.
That was obviously fun to have him back. I'm a big fan of his, but I don't know how I feel about bringing him back, Jesse Ventura, for like all the main event shows. I thought it was cool for a one-off.
That fool definitely sometimes doesn't know what he's saying.
It felt like, like it felt like a lot to try and have Michael Cole manage. Like, the clip even came out of him having to, like, explain everything in between the commercial. I don't know if you saw that.
To him?
There was a clip that came out on Twitter that was like, well, it happened during the show. I was just fast forwarding through the commercials, so I didn't see it. But during commercials, they somehow fucked up with the audio to where you could still hear the commentators during the commercials. And so you have to listen like through the commercial, so it's kind of hard to hear. But you could hear Michael Cole giving Pat and Jesse like kind of just like catching them up to date as far as like it was something about like Kevin Owens not being willing to attack Cody Rhodes' injury in their previous match at like Clash at the Castle or wherever it was when they had their or Bash in Berlin, I think, recently. And how KO now is obviously like way more willing to fucking go at that full. He's just like basically trying to get them up to speed on the story of the match.
That's wild, yeah.
And like, look, respect to Michael Cole and respect to Pat McAfee and Jesse Ventura. They have a lot going on. I'm sure there's plenty of reasons why they don't quite have everything up to date when they're coming into it. But I do feel like you're putting a whole hell of a lot on Michael Cole's plate. Like, Corey Graves, to me, is a really good heel commentator. I don't think he gets his credit. And I think Corey Graves does a fine job at giving the heel their just due. And maybe Corey wouldn't have gone as hard on Cody for using the chair and other stuff like that. Like, that's why I said, for this match, it worked really well because Jesse was able to highlight kind of the heel nature of some of Cody's actions and put a spotlight on that and give people a bit more of a platform to say maybe KO is right. However, going forward, is it something we need to do every single time? I don't know. I'm willing to be wrong on it. Like, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful here because obviously I know the dude's an absolute legend. So this isn't me trying to say like, oh, hang that shit up, put the fries in the bag, bro. Like, this is not one of those. But I'm just saying, with all due respect, it might be better if we have people who are like fully invested in the product to be able to tell the stories of these matches. You know what I mean?
Same thing with Pat though.
And no, 100%. And that's on the fact that Pat just goes back and forth from all these different things. I guess to me, the benefit that Pat has is his character is someone who is a bit clueless. He's supposed to just be there to be the kind of reaction guy and the energy guy. And when it's just him and Michael Cole, their chemistry to me is like so flawless because they really do seem to get along well with one
Michael
another.
Cole loves that fool.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, those two, it works. But then when you put it both two other people on Michael Cole's plate that he has to like, okay, dude, I have to tell you that. Okay, dude, I have to. Okay, dude, I have to. Like, it's just like, damn, bro. Like,
that's funny.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, it worked for this match. I'm not trying to say for this match it was bad. I've just seen a lot of people marking out pretty hard for Jesse Ventura online. And I get it. We all love nostalgia.
Old school, yeah.
We all love nostalgia. I'm just saying maybe going forward, let's use it when it's appropriate and not over lean on it just for the sake of it. But, again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If he comes back again for the next one in Texas and does a great job and continues to shine, then fuck it. I would happily be wrong on this because if that would just mean that the product is better. And that's all I want to see. But I just have seen, like I said, a lot of love for this fool. And I'm like, hey, let's temper ourselves a tad bit.
That one was awkward a little bit.
Just a tad. Just a tad.
I saw the one foot he put him with in the beginning. He was like...
With Joe Tez?
Yeah. He didn't really know how to reply to him and shit.
That shit was pretty funny, bro. That shit was... Exactly, man. Exactly. But overall, main event, kind of mid-event. Not gonna lie.
6.5 out of 10 for me.
I think that's a fair score, yeah. The shit after the show elevated it a lot because it actually gave it a lot of storyline.
After show wise with the after shows, bro. Stop fucking using
Time constraints. Time constraints.
Go back to 3 hours.
I know. We're almost there. We're almost there.
Raw on Netflix is not gonna be 3 hours.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.